What is up, Spice fam? It's been a while. We took a little break, but we are back. We want to go this week to look over the newly announced Set 7 red and green cards. These just got announced the day of this recording, but we have a lot to look over. I'm not going to read every single card. I might read some of the highlighted ones, but we just want to go over, see what we have in store coming out, and what we're looking forward to coming out with Set 7. It's only a month away in regards to the pre release, very close to the actual release, but here we go. So, first thing I want to look at is Sun Gohan, the new leader. Again, I'm not going to really read it, except for this first effect. He has an activate main. Choose one card in your life, add it to your hand. If your opponent has 5 or more life, deal 1 damage to your opponent. This is by far the best red leader I've seen in a long time. This is my favorite card revealed so far, and I am looking forward to breaking this as much as I can. It's just guaranteed damage while awakening yourself. Now that is a little issue with it in aggro based decks if you're facing an aggro based deck, because they're going to be coming at you. But if you play defensively in the opening, you can whittle them down, and it's just going to be very interesting. I feel like with the right build, this can be meta defining. I might be throwing that out there a little bit too soon. Let's see what the rest of them have to offer, but this is by far my favorite so far. Here's his other side. Not the best in my opinion. He has a sparking 5, draw 1 card. Okay, cool. It goes in tandem with the multicolor cards because he has a auto that relies on alliance, and then it's not not the best. His activate main, you can see that it's about red and green battle cards, so of course they want you to use the multicolor red green. I think that it's a little hindered if they ever decide to swap up the colors for multicolored cards. Maybe we get a red yellow or a red blue or something like that. It's kind of limited to red green, but there are plenty of ways to use what we have now and what possibly could be coming out to this advantage. You'll see I'm not skipping over any cards. This is just a pre-release pack with a stamp on it. So most of the commons and uncommons have a stamp, maybe even some of the rares. So just I'm not looking over any card. Let's look at Broly. He has critical on his awakened side, or his unawakened side. He has a auto kind of like how Metacooler had from set 2, where when you play this card in your later area, you choose 1 card from your deck and activate it, and it happens to be a field spell. We'll get to that field spell in a little bit. I feel like he's actually not that great because, one, I don't like the field spell, but the field spell can, to me, can get out some very troublesome cards, which we'll see, especially with the green Broly package. Here's his awakened side. It's just draw when you attack, and then discard a card to KO opponent's battle card 10,000 or less. It's not too flashy, but his engine isn't going to be too flashy. It's going to be the cards that come with him. So he himself is not flashy. That's just a balancing act. So we have Raditz. This Raditz is actually just like the Borgos blue from Clash of Fates, and then the yellow Whis that I believe was from set 6, maybe Clash of Fates. I think it's set 6. So it's just to prevent that, I'm going to be standing energy on my turn kind of deal. What we got now is basically one of every color. I think Black doesn't have one, and we won't be seeing Black leaders in this. That was announced in one of the um, QAs for, or not the developer strategies for this. Um, so there's nothing too great about him. This one's actually kind of interesting. So, Son Gohan and Son Goten familiar bonds, I believe, is the. Uh, let me see. Okay, so that's the brotherly bond. So we haven't gotten to this one yet. Um, oh yeah, because it has to be played in your battle area. So basically, if there's a card in play, this one in particular, and he is not in play, you can play it for free. Um, when he switched to rest mode by an alliance, if you have any of these cards, because it's an or, and play in your battle area, choose one card. Choose this card and one card. Switch him to active mode. He's a 14, so it's going to mess with numbers and stuff like that. But he basically just restands himself. We have a counterplay. I'm liking that we're seeing a lot more counterplays now. Usually, a couple sets ago, the only counterplay we had was, let me see, Bloodlust and Crusher Ball. Those were the only two. Now that we're getting a lot more counterplay, we're seeing a lot more player interaction instead of, okay, well, I'm just going to let you do your thing and I can't do anything about it unless I run yellow. So having this as a red counterplay is nice. Red's kind of not seen love in the past couple sets. But let's see. So it plays along with, of course, the multi cards. He gets dropped down to a 2 cost, and then he just reduces your opponent's battle cards for the duration of the turn. So just 2 of them. Here, I'm actually surprised they showed off the SRs like outright at the gate. So we'll probably see the SPRs in a bit. So we have an EX Evolve of Sun Gohan Adolescence with an energy cost of 3. So there's a couple of them. The main ones being the promo from set 1. Or no, sorry, not the promo. It's the, well, it is a promo. It was the BCC promo, Gohan. And then most recently the Critical Gohan that got a reprint in the Anniversary box. Those are your 2 main ones. And you can even include the 6 drop from set 2, the Double Striker. Oh, actually, no. He goes down to an energy cost of 2, so you can't choose him. So just those 2 in my first mind. But he draws you 2 cards, and if there are no battle cards in play, choose 2 cards, one being a Sun Goten and one being a Trunks Youth with an energy cost of 4 from drop area and play it. So it's very restrictive. It's going to be, when we get to the green cards, you'll see which ones they go into play with. And it's actually fairly decent, those cards. They act like the normal Trunks and Goten cards that play off of each other. And we'll get into that later. But he's a double strike, 20k. Here we have a counter attack, and he reduces himself by 2. So he's a 1-drop negate. To play for 15k. That's actually very, very good. But you have to have Goten and Trunks in play. Now, these don't specify green or red or anything like that, so it can be any Trunks and Goten, or any Trunks Youth and Goten. So this might actually see a lot more play than, say, the SR right here, because this specifies green, and this one specifies just the cards themselves. So this is just when you play it, draw 1 card. This is like set 1 Boo. There's a Bulma somewhere else that also does the exact same thing. It's just drawing. Digging's always good. Exalted Trio, Sun Goten. So you can only have 1 in your area. Basically, he plays off of Trunks Youth. So if both of them are in play, he gets 5K and double strike. So it's like their, I think it's World Martial Arts Tournament counterparts. And the same thing happens. Well, we haven't actually gotten to Trunks yet. Last Resort Vegeta. Deflect. Um, so your leader has to be Raditz for this one. So we have red cards and here going with green leaders, and we'll have green cards going with red leaders. It's just, hey, we want a multicolor deck. This requires Powerball, which we'll get to in a little bit. Here's the Trunks. So Goten gains plus 5k in critical when he's out. He gains plus 5, or sorry, Goten gains plus 5k in double strike and he gains plus 5k in critical. I think that's the exact same as how how they were in World Martial Arts tournaments. I think there were 3 drops there. So fatherly figure Piccolo, of course, look up to 7 cards. Choose one Sun Gohan Youth with energy cost of 2 less. Add them to your hand. Shuffle your deck. Uh, if you're running red green, you could use this to get your Self Awakening or the one drop from Clash of Fates that you gets plus 5k or plus 10k when he swings at the cost of 2 energy, I think it is. That also draws you a card. It was an SR. But this is just a searcher. We have a standard super combo when your life's at 4 or less. Let's see. Okay, so look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Choose one red or green. Gohan Adolescence, Goten, or Trunks Youth card. Add it to your hand. Then place them at the bottom of the deck. So it's a simple searcher looking for any of those 3 cards, either red or green. It's nice to see that you can grab both because we still do have some legacy cards that we could grab off of this. Coco Village Princess. This is acting like the one drop pan that was yellow that I think came in set 4. When you play it, you can activate main once per turn, discard a card to draw a card. So it's basically the exact same effect. Actually, I think it's not just basically, it is the exact same effect as pan. So Coco's grandpa, when you play this card, choose one. So it literally just searches for the one drop. And you add it to your hand instead of play it. Elder Village Guardian. This one's actually interesting. I feel like this would be a good side deck for red if you go up against Mill. Because you can choose up to 3 battle cards with energy cost of 3 or more and power of 35,000 or less in your drop area and place them at the bottom of your deck in any order. So this is it's just a combo piece. So you can recycle him with another copy of him. So if he's in your drop area, say you've already used him, actually no, you can't use him. Sorry, it's energy cost of 3 or more. So yeah, if you're playing big battle cards that are 3 or more, he's a good way to recycle your battle cards if they get milled or anything like that. He actually comes into play with the next card. He's just a 20k vanilla. So this might actually be a target for Android 8 if you're running Android 8 and Son Goku Childhood, that combo in a red deck. This could be a target for that. Shaman, he basically when you win a card in, so if you get critted or if you even get dealt damage, you choose that 2-drop 20k and you play him, and you put this in your drop area. So you put this out, say okay, they hit you one time, this goes to your drop area, and then the 20k this one comes out. And then we have Broly Counter Reversal. Now this is actually one that I see possibly being a issue. During your turn, this gains 5k and can swing on active mode cards, of course. When your opponent activates a counter skill, deal 1 damage to them. So if they try to negate, if they try to bloodlust, crusher ball, prevent your cards from, I think denial of hope is in here or something like that. If they do anything that has the word counter on it, Mafuba, I know the new card from World Martial Arts Tournament is going to see a lot of play. If they activate that at all while this is on the field, they have to take a life. Okay, this is Familial Bonds. It's a desire card, so we're seeing a little bit of wish support. Because I don't think Red really got any good wish leaders. I think, yeah, they didn't get any like Dende or anything like that on that level of support. So this is making up for that. It's basically just get 2 Dragon Ball cards from your deck, add them to your hand. Let's go on to page 3. Dormant Legend. Okay, this is a card that I see as a little steep. You can't place cards under this card except with this card skill. So the reason they put that on there is because there's a 3-drop card from Mortal Martial Arts Tournament that allows you to put 5 cards from the top of your deck under a card in your battle area. So that would be a little bit broken in this, and it's a red card. So when your card in your life is added to your hand, place top card of your deck under this card. Once you have 3, choose 1 red Broly with an energy cost of 4 from your deck and play it. So you immediately play that 4-drop we just looked at that prevents counters once per turn. Or that crits, or it doesn't crit, it just takes a life. So that's the only good thing I see. This in turn with the 4-drop. I'm not that big of a fan for the leader, but this is pretty good. And the fact that you don't have to run Broly with this, Broly just gets it out. It's the exact same thing with Metacooler and Big Getty Star. Denial of Hope is actually very interesting. It's just like the green. I forget the name of the card, but it came out in Clash of Fates. It's the 2-drop that prevents 4 or less coming into play. It goes directly to the drop area. It's the exact same thing, but instead of being 4 or less, it's 20,000 power or less. So if the 4-drop has 25 or a 3-drop or anything like that, this even hits 2-drops. This is pretty good for red decks. They needed some way to respond instead of just being aggro. Now, this is a card, and there will be another one that come up. I'm sure that there are one for every color, but this is going to really help out against Gogeta, the 7-drop, the triple striker with deflect and stuff like that. If this card is in your drop area, you can activate it by paying its energy cost and removing 1 red card from your hand, in your hand from the game. So if they rip your entire hand into your deck and you shuffle back your 3 and they swing, you can negate it from the drop area. So you don't have to just hope you draw Mafubo or hope you draw a negate or anything like that. So this is actually pretty good. And the issue is you can't activate it multiple times per turn. So it's a little downside to it, but the fact that you always have a negate no matter what is going to be interesting. It's going to slow down the game a lot. And hopefully, like I said, there is one for green that we'll get to, but hopefully there will be one for every color. Here we have Raditz. So my issue with Raditz is that he doesn't draw at all. He really depends on his battle cards to draw and stuff like that. Most of most of the cards that I've seen do draw when they come into play. But he is hands down hand destruction if I've ever seen it. Every time he swings on his backside and his front side, he sends one card from your opponent's hand to your warp when you attack a leader. So it's kind of one for one, but late game that really becomes a problem. And then his front side, same thing, and then it's just a boost. Son Goku, I don't think I was really impressed with this. He's a standard when he attacks a leader, draw one card, and he's a hybrid awaken. You can't send cards from your drop to warp, so you can't use any black cards that have overrealm. He draws a card, burst 7. He basically just burst 7 to negate an attack. When your life is at 1, choose all of your opponent's battle cards with blocker and KO them. I don't really see blockers being much of a thing, except for a very specific set of cards in this set, but I don't think they'll be meta defining. So not impressed with this Goku. This is a card I'm looking forward to. I used to run Gotinks from the draft box back in the set 2 days, and this would actually really help that, and I'm looking forward to seeing if I can implement this card into a deck list at all. But we'll see. But what he does, you play it, draw a card, like I said, and then for a cost of 1 red and 1 green, you play 1 Vegeta and 1 Nappa with an energy cost of 2 or less and 10,000 power from your deck. Send them to your warp. Shuffle your deck at the start of the next main phase. Play those cards in your battle area. So he's kind of like Dende from the World Martial Arts boosters. But this would really help Gotinks, in my opinion, because what Gotinks lacks is a way to deal with a small hand to get your effect, but also still playing cards to present a threat. So this lets you play from your deck, which is cool. You don't have to worry about your hand size, so you can get your effect off of making your opponent discard if your hand is smaller. Alright, Raditz, he's a 4-drop. You choose 2 your opponent battle cards 30k or 3 or less and KO them. Then they warp them with the equal number of cards you KO'd. So they can choose up to 2 to get KO'd, and you can send up to 2, depending on what you actually KO. So it's more hand destruction. This is just looking for an Earthling or a Namekian, so he's just a Searcher. 3 cost is a little bit too expensive for a Searcher card, in my opinion, but he has 20k. If there's a way to get him out and cheat him out, then that will be decent, but as it is, I don't see this card getting much play. Son Gohan, Hope of the People. Basically, he just comes out for 1 if you have a youth. Son Goten, Trunks, and Videl in your drop area. So if you play this with the red leader, the Gohan leader, if you burst 2, and then get at least 1 of each of, say, Trunks Youth, Videl, or Trunks Goten, or something like that, that can actually get this out for very cheap, very early, maybe a turn or 2 early. But other than that, I don't see him really getting much play. Son Gohan. So you play this. This is, you look for a green Goku among the top 7 of your card. This is a better Searcher. I'm guessing you're looking for just combo pieces or something like that. Let me see. Goten, EX Evolve over the red Goten. So this is, you EX Evolve over the other 2 cards that we saw before. And then you draw a card, switch to active mode, and you KO an opponent's card. Grade 8 Vegeta, Energy Manipulation. This has a wall of text that I'm not going to read. But basically, what you do is if he leaves the field, you restand one red and one green, and then play an energy, or play a Vegeta that's both red and green from your drop area. When you play it, he can't be KO'd until your opponent's in turn, and then uh, you just you play him on top of a Vegeta while that extra card that we're coming up on gets out. Didn't exactly read it, but he's all right. There's actually a funny card that comes out that just outright destroys this. Vegeta the Cruel, counterplay, reduces it by one, so it can be a 2-drop, and you just KO an opponent's card and then choose one card to send it to their warp. Blocker, it's actually a revenge blocker, so that's interesting. Um, but basically, these 4 drops, you can swing with the red drops, evolve these for free, restand them, and then they all have effects. So this, I just don't see them really being played because they are just 10 drop or 10Ks. Now this one's an actual interesting card. I like it. If you have a Green Sun Goku card with 20,000 power in play, and this is not in play, then you can play it for free. So I think there are ways to cheat out a cheaper Sun Goku green with 20k that is not a 3-drop, but I can't remember exactly which ones. Choose one Son Goku, of course, place it in your drop area, and you get to choose one of these effects. It basically just KOs a card. It's either 2 or less with or ignoring barrier, and then you send 2 cards from their hand, or you can just choose one opponent of any energy and just KO it, but it doesn't ignore barrier. We have a vanilla, of course. This might actually be better in the Clash of Fates Goku that goes along with this if there's a Krillin in your drop area. You got your super combo. You got a TN card. Let me see. It's the same thing as the other card from red. Basically, it's the anti-mill. Chiatsu. Basically, it's a self-sacrifice. You play it. You KO. You send it to your drop area to kill something 2 or less. This is the card that outs the 6-drop. You choose one Vegeta card in a battle area and place it in its owner's drop area. So you can do this to yourself, or you can do this to your opponent. Since it places it, it's not KOing it. So that's a way to out the 6-drop. This Kami is actually interesting. This is the green version of the Borgos and the Whis and the red card we just went over. It basically just prevents them using Sensu Bean or something like that on their turn. This is the card I was talking about that kind of might bring back blockers. Basically, you choose one card in your hand, place it in your drop area to choose a Cyberman card from your deck and play it. What it's going to play is these. These are blockers, and they have the permanent like Metacooler. You can include as many copies as you like. So if you really want to play defensive, you can play as many of these, get the 2-drop out there, and just fill your board with them as long as you have cards. And when it gets KO'd, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards when their G cost of 1 or less, so it can hit tokens. And then it basically is just for defensive purposes. All right, let me see. This one, this actually works in tandem with, say, uh, the support that the anniversary box got that lets you to awaken your leaders at 5 or more life. That's basically it. But you have to be playing red green because you have to have a dormant legend in your battle area. So you got to keep that in mind. Then onto the extras, double Sunday. Basically, it's just uh, a plus 15k for a battle card, and you KO a card. Powerball, here's the field spell that goes with the 3 cost Vegeta and the 6 cost grade 8 Vegeta. When you place it in your battle area, choose one green grade ape from your deck. So you grab the 6 drop and then switch it to rest mode to boost one of your red or green Saiyans for 5k. Hidden power of the Saiyans, counterplay, it's the same thing. It's the same thing as what we just saw, with a little bit of different effect. Your opponent may place the battle card they're playing in the owner's drop area instead of playing, so it doesn't have a energy cost. And if they don't place it in the drop area, then they drop 2 cards. So it's a whole thing of, okay, I can either send this card, no matter what cost it is, to my drop area, or I can discard 2 cards to keep it on the field. For the greater good, counter attack, it's the same thing as the red negate that we saw. You can activate it from your drop area. Then we have the multicolored. This is an absurd card at the moment. It might not actually see play, but I think this is kind of ridiculous. Has deflect, so it can't be counterplayed. If 20 or more red or green cards are in your drop area, reduce it by 2, so it becomes a 5 drop. And then when your life reaches 1 for the duration of this turn, it gains triple strike and dual attack and can't be KO'd by your opponent's skills. So you choose 1 card in your life. It's an activate main. It's not a one. This is the issue here. The activate main is not a once per turn. You choose 1 card in your life, add it to your hand, and then you basically take your opponent's hand, well, look at it, and then drop 1 card from it. So you can hit all their negates as many times as you can until you get to 1 life. Plus, you get 25,000 power for the duration of the turn. So say you get this out while you're at 4 life. You can activate this 3 times, making it at 100k triple strike dual attack while also ripping every single one of their negates out of their hand. Well, up to 3, of course. That's a little overpowered. It does have a high cost of 5 and 20 red or green cards, but you can run this in a mono red or a mono green, and it's just very powerful. I'm very glad they didn't give it an EX Evolve or a Patar or anything like that, because of course it's just Goku. But I am kind of a little upset that they reduced it by 2. They should have kept it a 7 drop and made this once per turn. But that's just my opinions. We saw this one a while back, but it's an alliance that draws you 2 cards and gains critical. This is a way for you to draw cards within a Raditz deck. This is the one that plays into the 3-drop red Goku that we saw. You use it because when you use Alliance, you gain triple strike, and you use Alliance on that Goku so he can restand himself. So this is kind of preventative of, say, your opponent Shugesh Kid Gokuing you for the duration, or if they negate and play a card. So if you use a skill to play a battle card, you choose 2 cards from their life and place them in the drop area. So you're getting a double strike off of that if they negate it with a card that plays. Vegeta Saiyan Elite. This is the 6-drop Vegeta that was mentioned before. Um, when he attacks, you choose 2 cards from your opponent's hand and send them to your warp, of course. And you can activate main once per turn, deal 1 damage to your opponent if you're Green Saiyan. So I can see this coming into play as a finisher or something like that. Broly, of course, we've got to have Broly. You can only have one, and you can't play it unless Dormant Legend is in your drop area. It's just KO cards, and then uh, when your opponent combos, choose one in your opponent's combo area, place it, and then negate this skill. We've already got that effect on a couple of different cards, but I just brought it back. Uh, Rapid Barrage. Let me see. Same thing as the 6-drop, but his second auto effect is a little bit less powerful. Here we go. So if there's a card that is both red and green in your energy, so playing off multi, of course, negate this card's energy exhaust. Well, that's actually very interesting, but they need to watch that. They don't need to put that on a lot of cards. If they're going heavy with multi cards this set, and then it's just you play it, your opponent discards. And that's it. Let me know what you think about what we've seen so far. We'll do this again when blue and yellow and black get announced and stuff like that. But let me know what you think, or which cards so far have been revealed that are your favorite. What kind of decks do you want to see regarding these cards? Once they go up on some of the websites like Devious Decks or Shinron's Lair or something like that, we'll get a deck profile going on that. But as always, thank you for watching. Click subscribe, leave us a like if you like what we do here, and I will see you next time. Stay spicy.